Hi everyone, my name is Rob Warren with the IBM Cloud team. In this video, we'll talk about VMware solutions shared on IBM Cloud and how to create networks that route to the public internet and the IBM Cloud private network. Let's start by creating a network in the on-demand virtual data center. vCloud Director Networks are virtual overlay networks supporting bring your own IPs backed by NSX. Networks have the ability to route to the public internet in the IBM private network via the Edge Service Gateway and network address translation. We'll look at that as well. We'll start by opening the on-demand virtual data center instance. We then navigate to the Networks tab on the far left. We don't have any networks at this time. Let's create our first network. We'll need a routed network to be able to allow network connectivity outside of the virtual data center, including accessing the public and private networks. We'll define this network with addresses in the 192.168 range. Next, select the edge. This is the edge that was included with the virtual data center, which allows the network to route externally. From the interface type list, select Distributed, then click Next. In this example, we'll use static IP addresses for the subnet. For DNS, we'll use our two favorites, Quad 9 and Cloudflare. Let's review the configuration and then create the network. The network is being created now and then is quickly ready. Next, let's enable inbound and outbound traffic to that network. To enable virtual machines to reach the internet, you must configure a SNAT, or a Source Network Address Translation rule, and firewall policy to allow virtual machine traffic outbound. To allow inbound traffic, you must configure a DNAT, or Destination Network Address Translation rule and firewall policy. First, let's create our firewall rule. We'll give the rule a name, and then we'll set the network we just created as the source. We'll keep the defaults for the other settings. Next, let's capture some settings. We'll need these settings in subsequent steps. With the tenant external addresses, we can route to the external network, and with the service network, we can route to the IBM private network. The sub-allocated addresses below are the public IP addresses that were assigned to the VDC. Next, we'll create a source NAT rule, which is necessary to allow traffic from our private web network to get outbound to the internet. While we're still in the Edge Gateway Services pane, we'll click on the NAT tab. And then under the NAT44 rules, we'll add a new SNAT rule. We'll select the external network, and then we'll add our original or source IP range. This is the IP range for the web network that we just previously created. When creating SNAT rules, you can use a one-to-many or a many-to-one NAT. The translated source IP range is one of the IP addresses from the sub-allocated IP address range. This is one of the 5 public IP addresses that we were assigned. Optionally, we can enter a description to help us remember what this rule is for, and then we can save it. Next, we'll enable access to the IBM Cloud private network. Virtual data centers route to the IBM Cloud private network through a virtual data center service network that is configured as an available external network on the virtual data center's edge. Enabling access to the service network is done through the same steps that we use to enable access to the public internet. First, we create our firewall rules, Then we create our NAT rules. The big difference here is that we'll be targeting the services network versus targeting the external network. I'm running through those steps right now. vApps and virtual machines running inside of the virtual data center can be configured to use the IBM Cloud Private Network to access IBM Cloud services. Accessing IBM Cloud services through a private network can save on outbound public networking costs and can provide a higher degree of reliability and security. By way of the private network, you can access the following services: NTP, Red Hat and CentOS, Yum repositories, Microsoft Windows Update Server, Microsoft Key Management Server, and then also Cloud Object Storage. Okay, let's go ahead and close this tab out. And this wraps up our demo of IBM Cloud, VMware Solutions Shared, vCloud Director Networking.